Letter 16 of Young Americans Abroad, or Vacation in Europe, Travels in England, France, Holland, Belgium, Prussia, and Switzerland. Edited by J. O. Choules. Read for LibriVox.org into the public domain. Letter 16. London. Dear Charley, now that the excitement consequent on the opening of the Crystal Palace has in some degree subsided, and curiosity to a certain extent satisfied, we are enabled to obtain more lucid ideas of this extraordinary building and its wondrous contents. The admission for several days was £1, and at this high price the visitors were of the most fashionable character. We have been much pleased in looking at the very fine equipages that throng the roads around the park. The carriages, horses, and liveries are in the best possible taste. When we entered, the palace was no longer heightened in splendour by the presence of the sovereign and her brilliant court. The superb canopy which overshadowed the dais on which the gorgeous chair had stood, alone remained to indicate that there England's Queen had performed the inaugural rites, but the great facts of the exhibition remained. The crystal fountains still played, the magnificent elms appeared in their spring garniture of delicate green beneath the lofty transept, and the myriad works of skill, art, and science lay around, above, and beneath us. I entered the building by its eastern door, and immediately on passing the screen which interposes between the ticket offices and the interior, the whole extent of the palace of glass lay before me. Fancy yourself standing at the end of a broad avenue, 1,850 feet in length, roofed with glass, and bounded laterally by gaily decorated, slender pillars. The effect was surpassingly beautiful. Right and left of this splendid nave were other avenues, into which the eyes wandered at will, for no walls, no barriers are to be found in the whole building. All is open from floor to roof, and from side to side, and from the eastern to the western extremity. Proceeding westward, I saw the compartments allotted to our own country. The first thing I noticed was a piece of sculpture, the Dying Indian, a fine production, though perhaps a trifle overdone. Then came an American bridge, which painters were still at work upon, and then, backed by drapery of crimson cloth, that splendid creation of genius, the Greek Slave, which will immortalize the name of Hiram Powers. I shall not, I think, be accused of national partiality when I assert that this statue is, in sculpture, one of the two gems of the exhibition. Perhaps if I were not from the United States, I should say it was the gem. When I come to tell you of the Italian marbles, I shall refer to that production of art which can alone be thought to dispute the palm of superiority with it. Every one expresses the highest admiration at the Slave, and a crowd is constantly around the spot. One old gentleman, who was in ecstasy over the sculpture, very sharply rebuked a person complaining of the paucity of the American productions, with "Fie! There is one thing America has sent, that all Europe may admire, and no one in Europe can equal." Turning aside from this breathing marble, I examined the American exhibition of products and manufactures. I confess to you I felt mortified with the comparative meagreness of our show, because it contrasts poorly with the abundance exhibited by nations far inferior to us in skill and enterprise. Still, we have much to show, but the useful prevails over the beautiful. I am quite sure, too, that there are things here which will compel attention, and carry away calm, dispassionate approbation from the jurors. The United States exhibits numerous specimens of tools, cordage, cotton and woolen fabrics, shawls, colours, prints, daguerreotypes, silver and gold plate, pianos, musical instruments, harnesses, saddlery, trunks, bookbinding, paper hangings, buggies, wagons, carriages, carpetings, bedsteads, boots and shoes, sculls, boats, furs, hair manufactures, lithographs, perfumery, soaps, surgical instruments, cutlery, dentistry, locks, India rubber goods, machinery, agricultural implements, stoves, kitchen ranges, safes, sleighs, maps, globes, philosophical instruments, grates, furnaces, firearms of all descriptions, models of railroads, locomotives, etc. You may add to these fine specimens all our produce, as cotton, sugar, tobacco, hemp, and the mineral ores, iron, lead, zinc, plumbago, tin and copper, coals of all kinds, preserved meats, etc. I wish, Charley, you could go with me into a door south of the transept, over which, in oddly shaped letters, are the words Medieval Court. The very name reminds one of Popery, Puseyism, and Pugin. This medieval court absolutely dazzles one's eyes with its splendors. Auriferous draperies line the walls, from the ceilings hang gold and silver lamps, such lamps as are to be seen in Romish chapels before the statues of the Virgin, huge candlesticks, in which are placed enormous candles, Gothic canopies and richly carved stalls, images of he and she saints of every degree, crucifixes and croziers, copes and mitres, embroideries of richest character, are all here, things which the mother of harlots prizes as the chosen instruments by which she deceives the nations. And truly beautiful are many of these things as works of art, but it is only as works of art that any Christian can admire them. As I gazed on the rich tissues and golden insignia, I mourned for poor corrupt human nature, to which alone such gewgaws could be acceptable. How would Paul or Peter have stared, had they been required to don such glittering pontificals as are here to be seen? While I feel great respect for Pugin's ability as an architect and designer, I have profound pity for those who are deluded by these gorgeous symbols of a gloomy, cruel, and heartless creed. There is a large golden cage, not altogether unlike a parrot's, and there is a press indeed. What calls such attention from the multitude? I join the gazers, and see what at first appears to be 3 pieces of irregularly shaped glass, white and glittering, one large piece about the size of a walnut, and 2 others a little larger than marbles. What renders that bit of glass so attractive? Glass! No, it is a gem of purest ray serene, a diamond, the diamond of diamonds, the largest in the world. In short, it is the Koh-i-Noor, or as the Orientals poetically called it, the Mountain of Light. Its estimated value is 2 millions sterling, enough to buy the Crystal Palace itself 9 times over. The history of this precious gem is romantically curious. It belonged to Runjeet Sahib and is now an English trophy. Let us enter that partially darkened chamber, and stand before a painted glass window, the production of Bertini of Milan. I can't describe this extraordinary production. It is illustrative of Dante, and for brilliancy of colour and harmony of combination, it is not surpassed by the much vaunted specimens of past ages. From the sublime to the ridiculous, said Burke, there is but a step, and not at much greater distance from this Dantean window is a German toy-stand. It is amusing to observe a big 10-brook sort of Allemagne arranging tiny children's toys. The contrast between the German giant and the petty fabrics he is setting off to the best advantage provokes a smile. Let us join the throng rushing into the suite of rooms furnished by the upholsterers of Vienna. These rooms are indeed magnificent, and must afford a high treat to the lovers of wood carving. There is a bookcase, which is almost a miracle of art. The flowers seem to wave, and the leaves to tremble, so nearly do they approach the perfection of nature. Then there is, it is said by the judges, the most superb bed in the world. It is literally covered with carvings of the most costly and delicate description. Since the time of the famous Grinling Gibbons, the English carver, nothing has been seen like it. These Austrian rooms are among the great guns of the show, and will repay repeated visits. Here stands the glorious Amazon of Kiss of Berlin. This group, of colossal proportions, represents a female on horseback, in the act of launching a javelin at a tiger which has sprung on the forequarter of her affrighted steed. This is a wonderful work of art, and places its author in the first rank of sculptors. Nothing can surpass the lifelike character of the Amazon's horse, and the ferocious beast. As a tribute to the genius of Kiss, a grand banquet is to be given to him by the sculptors and artists of England. Well does he deserve such an honour. Close by the Amazon is a colossal lion in bronze. This is the softest piece of casting I ever saw. The cat like motion of the paw is perfectly life like. I turn back again to that